What's going on, everyone? This is Shon Hyneman here with another segment of 40s Unfiltered. You ain't heard conversation like this with
Jason Lockhart.
what's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Man, you know me trying to make it happen out here in these podcast streets.
These Greeks. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, today we're going to discuss self-destructive habits in this episode of 40s Unfiltered, which I think is so vital. I was listening to a podcast or watching a video from the roommates, and they was talking about how nobody cares about men's health. So I think that this is something that, especially amongst us, right, in the African American community, this is something that we need to discuss more of and be more transparent, especially with us being in our 40s, right?
Right. This all ties into the whole mental health aspect of things. I know since the pandemic and a lot of the racial injustice and the inequalities that have been going on and transpiring these past 2 years, the mental health aspect of things has been really big. And so, self-destructive habits, behavior, it all is parallel to, the whole ballpark of the mental health thing. So, yeah,
Yeah. And I think times have changed somewhat. I think we're kind of turning the corner as far as men and our mental health. I think we're starting, kind of a little slow turn, but I think it's better than where we were, say, maybe 20 years ago.
absolutely, man. I mean, just outside of the spectrum of men, just the whole Black community per se, it was definitely a taboo when you made the reference of therapists. You would always get the coin term. I don't go for therapists. That's for the opening of my hand, thing. So it was always coined, and like I actually grew up, thinking like if I were to get a therapist, to talk to or go sit in the chair and, it all started when kind of thing. That was crazy. I was frowned upon. And so, it's very paramount now to see this merge and change and surge of mental stimulation and just being woke, in a sense. And that's a good thing for us. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think some of that maybe stemmed from our parents' embarrassment, maybe because they didn't want to do therapy because then, and no knock against mom, dad, I get it. You did the best you can do. I get it. This isn't, throwing mom under the bus session. But I think if we are honest, even if we could have afforded it back then, I still don't think our parents would have allowed us to go to therapy because then a lot of that stuff they would have had to deal with their own demons, right?
Absolutely. It would have showed up as a great sense of accountability for them that they didn't want to handle at the time. So I absolutely agree with you on that, Sean. Yes, sir.
Because I told myself I didn't want to be in my latter years. And now, let me just say this real quick. I know we kind of going in rabbit trails, but um, for parents out there, just know that your kid is going to have something to say about you, regardless, no matter how perfect of a
Yep.
parent you are. They're going to say something. Dad, you remember that time that you ran over a squirrel or something and I was hurt because you ran over the squirrel? It's like, how could you kill the squirrel, dad? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. But it's one of those things where you just do the best that you can uh and working with the tools that you have. Now, this whole thing with self-destructive habits, especially for us as men, I was doing some research in the New York Times, and let's just kind of throw out some statistics and let's talk about this.
Mhm.
A man's average lifespan is 7 years shorter than a woman.
Yeah. And that's been something all across the board. That's been ever since, we could actually like look up statistics and look into things like that, look into numbers. That's been the norm. Period. All races, all ethnicities. That's been the norm for women to outlive men. I think it's just a sense of pride that we have within us as men that won't allow us to really express how we feel and show a sense of vulnerability. We've always been taught since day one that vulnerability was a sign of weakness, and in actuality, it's really not. It's a sign of strength because it's showing that you are able to express and communicate your feelings. It's showing that you are human. It's showing your humanity. And a lot of times, us as men, we get caught up in I'm good, but you're really not, bro. You're really not good. So, yeah, I mean, numbers don't lie. I mean, you can show me whatever you want to show me, but numbers do not lie. And just to piggyback and agree with what you're saying, brother, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I remember we were at the Love Remix. We went there,
Hmm.
and a lot of couples had a great time. But one thing I did notice about some of the couples were the women were healthier than men. And when I say this healthier, I'm saying more of like physically. Like
Facts.
some of the men, they were broke down, like they were tired. I mean, they're like tired,
Yeah.
where she's like trying to hold the elevator for Harold to get in there, and Harold's still trying to get into the elevator. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, man, as men, I think we spend so much of our life um trying to save the princess, if you will, or try to, save the world kind of thing. And then by the time we get into our 50s and 60s, man, we we're done,
We're out of there completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. We're completely out of there because, again, I think it's just a mindset thing and just something that just basically passed on to how we think, as far as taking care of the family, making sure that that every need is met, especially when you're really involved with your kids, and you have kids rather. It's that concept of you trying to basically make sure that their needs are met, make sure that your wife's needs are met. Anything that's going on around the house, you're making sure that you're aware of it. So it's necessarily no time for you to self-reflect and just invest into yourself because you're just you know what's the word I'm trying to say, allotted out
Mm-hmm.
of yourself to a lot of other things in your family. So it causes you for your health to deteriorate because I know one thing: when you neglect yourself, you know you begin to decline, and it happens slowly, before you even know it. I remember there was a time when I was asleep in my room. I mean, not my room, but I fell asleep in the living room when I was younger. And uh, when I woke up, there was a blanket on me, and I didn't realize that the blanket was on me, and I didn't realize how it got on me. But that's just the same equivalency to how you begin to continue to neglect yourself, and your health completely declines, and you don't realize that it's doing it and it is happening, but it is. And that's pretty much how things go a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because and I think this is why it's important too that you have a good woman in your life. And
That's
I seen a TikTok the other day, and a guy was talking about there was men are in nursing homes dying alone, and he was saying two reasons why. It's because it's like women or moms, they always have that help, that community that comes and helps them,
mhm.
but for men, he said it's two reasons why you're alone in these homes, because number one, you probably was a horrible parent, and number two, you just never stopped playing the field. You just always wanted to be player. So you never really cemented a healthy relationship with another woman that's actually going to come and help you and help take care of you.
Wow, wow, that's really good that you said that because just in my research, I'm looking, and one of the signs of self destructive behavior is impulsive decisions, just a large body count, that's self-destructive because again, that shows a sign of low self-esteem, low confidence in yourself. When you just have this like large body count of women that you have manipulated, that you have, just slept with, that there's an assurance that needs to take place within yourself. So that is definitely a sign of self-destructive behavior. Yes, sir.
And I'm glad you said that too, because if we can get to these young men, before they get older and they're in their 40s and they're wondering what's happening, we could get to them and teach them that you don't have to sleep with every single woman just based off of your impulse.
Right.
Because
Right.
there are pregnancies, right? There are STIs. There's all these different things that we never think about until it happens to us. And then we have these kids that we don't take care of. And we have these STIs that we're ashamed of. And then most men, and here's another one, men going to the hospital, going to the doctor, going getting physical, getting these checkups. That's another one too that men struggle with, taking care of their health. Now they'll go to the gym. They'll go to the gym. They'll be built like Lord knows who, but they could still be physically or mentally out of shape.
Yeah. It's pretty much who are you to tell me what's wrong with me? I mean, you a man just like I am. You put on your pants just like I am. But it's really baffling to me because a lot of times we have that mindset. But I'm like this. Everybody has a specialty in every area. I'm not a mechanic, so do you think I'm going to actually go out there and try to fix on my car? I'm going to make it worse. So why not take your earnings and pay someone who is a specialist in that area? You're not going to go to the doctor or a cardiologist. You're not going to go to a orthopedic surgeon if you need something done with your heart. You know what I'm saying? So why not? I'm a musician by trade. That's what I like to do. I'm not gonna dare go jump on uh uh try to play professional football because it's just not gonna work like that. So I think we have that, pride mechanism again that allows us to think that we can fix these different things and stuff. I had a friend, and I'll make you laugh. He had recently purchased his home, and after the warranty had depleted, rather, he went in there and tried to fix on one of the pipes. Man, flood everywhere, water everywhere, every single where, and it could have easily been resolved if he would have just sucked his pride up and said, you know what, I don't know how to do this. So I'm going to hire a plumber who went to school, who had the, special capabilities to do this and take care of it and get it done. Simple as that. But, it's just that pride in us, man, that feels like, I got this, I don't need anybody else, man. And that's, that's a number one thing that will cause you to fail. You do need somebody.
Yeah. Why is that though? Why do we struggle so hard with pride? I know I'm guilty of it. I'm a lot better now, but I've probably blocked a lot of blessings, honestly, being prideful.
I think it's because there is being transparent, there's a healing that needs to take place within you because that it when a person is confident, they're able to admit and know like where their shortcomings are at, where they're not capable of doing something. That it doesn't take away from that person, it doesn't take away from anything about them, but they just know like, look, I can't do that, so I'm gonna allow somebody else to do that. Like when you look at at just different, just when you look at Jesus, the Bible says that he wept when Mary and Martha was upset at him because he didn't come in the time frame that they thought he should have came to save Lazarus. And basically what happened is Jesus was weeping because it's like, you dudes, you doubted me. You doubted me. I could have very well did that, but I was trying to paint a picture.
Mm,
And the fact that like it didn't bother Jesus because he knew who he was, but it bothered them from the fact that they didn't believe. But that's all the story. But Jesus was confident in who he was. He knew the ultimate plan. He knew that basically he was trying to display the glory of God and let Lazarus die before he healed him. And if he
mhm,
would have came and healed him before he died, there wouldn't have been no significance of the story. So what I'm trying to say is that when you're confident and you know who you are, you don't have to, basically you can relinquish, I'm sorry, you
mhm,
can relinquish, responsibilities that you don't have to, or burdens that you don't have to take on. You know, I
mhm,
I mean, another example, look at Moses.
mhm,
Moses suffered from the same thing, pride. Pride. It wasn't until he got to a place to where God made it to where he couldn't do it anymore. So he had the other two to lift up his hands
yep.
because he was so weak, because he tried to take on their burden by himself. So that caused him to be able to delegate. When you're
Mm,
confident, you know how to delegate. You know how to oh man, you know how to produce other leaders. You know how to produce other things. That's a sign of being a real man and being real confident in who you are, man. But I'm,
mm.
I'm sorry to go on my fish like that, but yeah.
No, no, I love that because now that I think about it, you're talking about like delegating and things of that nature. Because even you see men in the workforce who might be a boss, might be a supervisor, whoever, but they have a lot of insecurities because they are afraid to delegate because they want to have all the power. They don't want somebody else might showing them out in a certain area.
Yeah, come on, man.
You know what I'm
Come on.
saying?
Come
So
on.
and I learned that in the game, because I've spent years in leadership and I realized that uh my job is a lot easier when I empower other people.
Man, come on. Come on.
Yeah. Empower other people. And people who can't handle power are gonna end up playing themselves anyway.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
their character is going to be shown for what it is. There was a quote by Abraham Lincoln, I believe, maybe. He said, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power.
Ooh.
You know,
That's good. That's
you'll
really
find
good.
out a lot about a person who give them some power, give them some money. You'll find out about people real quick about what their true character is. Because unfortunately, a lot of people, uh, the only reason why they can't be a butthole is because they don't have either one. They don't have power or money, so they can't be a butthole because they broke and nobody respects them. So
Yeah. 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 Let's touch on when you are experiencing, or you are in a pattern of self-destructive behavior, and why is it that um you can't stop? I was looking and reading something, and it was just saying how you had this lady that was an alcoholic, and she continued to use alcohol and drink, and then she would get to a moment to where she would sober up and she would come to her senses. But later on she would get bored, and that craving would actually come back, and it was just kind of like a continuous cycle of, again, self-destructive behavior. So what do you think causes that?
I think you kind of talked about it earlier. I think you talked about that that inner hurt, that healing thing. And now that I think about it, because like when you were talking, you talked about pride and stuff like that. I know a lot of my pride came from uh being vulnerable, being embarrassed for being vulnerable,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
because there's a lot of people who can't handle your shortcomings. Um, some people you can't even share your fears with because they look at you sideways. They're like, "You're
Right.
supposed to be a man, right?" Um,
Right.
I was reading a Bible devotional the other day, and um, this guy, he was talking about how when people tell men to man up, what you're telling him is he's not enough, that he's operating from a deficit. That's what, yeah, I never looked at it like that. So when you tell somebody man up, what they're saying is, I have a certain perception of what a man should be in your little world, right? Like out of all these billions of people in the world, you have figured out manhood. So when you tell
Right.
somebody to man up, they're like, so you're saying I'm less than. Subconsciously, you're saying I'm less
Oh,
than. And
absolutely.
yeah, and I need to meet your standard, which
Man,
means that you can never really please whoever that person is.
wow.
You never can
Wow.
please them. So I think a lot of it, anyway, I say all that to say, I think it's healing that needs to take place because we have so many scars, so many unaddressed wounds that we never even discussed, that we just think our dysfunction is normal. So we never really looked at it as something that was bad.
And you know what? I'm looking over here too, and one of the signs is I'm gonna want to tackle on two of them,
Mhm.
but really three actually.
Mhm.
One of the signs is avoiding responsibility. Um, that's a self-destructive habit, and I think that one is one of the cancerous ones because depending on the type of cancer, some cancer is very aggressive and it moves rapidly,
Mhm.
and some is very slow and it just subtle and it creeps up on you. And
Mhm.
I think this one with avoiding responsibility is very slow because, and you, I believe this is my opinion. I think this is one of the self-destructive habits that you will find in a lot of people. And the reason why is because for me,
Mhm.
things that I deem to be very hard or a task or responsibility that I deem to be very hard and difficult and is overbearing for me, I avoid it.
Mhm.
I avoid it. And it's a responsibility that I have to take care of, but I tend to avoid it. And what happens in that is that not only do you suffer, but your family suffers, your finances suffer, all types of things suffer. And I think this is something that you can find in each and every individual, and it's called procrastination. Procrastination is a self-destructive habit because again, it causes you to avoid responsibility, and it causes you to put off tasks that you need to take care of and handle that will make you successful and make you great. Um, there's something that really stood out to me. Eric Thomas was talking about Warren Buffett and how his daily schedule was, and it was just saying how he reads 6 to 7 hours a day. And I mean, he's a billionaire, so of course he has the time to do that. Of course, but he was just saying that like he's getting information, he's getting knowledge, he's getting things, and so basically, the more information and the more knowledge that you have, you're able to solve more problems. And a lot of times when you avoid responsibility, that's a problem. And you're not able to solve that problem. So, like I said, I believe that really, you know, is found a lot in a lot of people, man. When you're not able to face that problem head on and take care of it, take care of that task.
Mhm.
And it causes problems. Like it'll eventually digress. I mean, become more aggressive, and they keep on
Mhm.
building up, building up, building up to where you can't handle it anymore. But
Mm. Yeah, because there's a lot of people who might suffer from procrastination because procrastination is real. Um, but I one thing I have realized over time is um, the more you procrastinate about things, life doesn't stop. So
uh,
it becomes this snowball effect because what you should have done yesterday becomes 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later,
relation-
and we ain't even talking about all the stuff that happens on in our life on a daily basis. So that's when we get overwhelmed and we shut down.
wow, wow.
So
And another one that I looked up is it says one self-destructive behavior is hypersensitivity and emotional numbness. Let's talk about that hypersensitivity.
yeah, that's a good one. Um, yeah, some people, yeah. I remember I used to struggle with being sensitive about things because of my own insecurities.
Hmm.
Um, but I realized too, it just depends on who it's coming from. Uh,
Hmm.
if it's somebody that you know to have your best interest, then you have to really consider. But if you just catching shots from, just everybody from coworkers to whoever, I think that's when it can become overwhelming, and then you end up shutting down, and you're not open to constructive criticism to allow yourself to even grow.
Yeah. Uh, I taken it even a step further
Mm,
with the hypersensitivity because it also causes you to not be able to create boundaries successfully because it plays into the whole like our first segment, the Superman complex, where you're hypersensitive to everyone else's needs except for yours. So it causes you to self-destruct because man, I'm making sure everything, I'm making sure this person is good, this person is good. I don't want to let nobody down. I want to become a yes person. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And it's like, where is time for Shon? Where is time for Jason?
mhm,
So when I'm again hypersensitive to everyone else's needs and everyone else's wants, I have to set the boundary and say, you know what, I need to take time out for me.
mhm.
And the emotional numbness concept of it, I think you made reference to it earlier. The whole body count thing, man. That's a type of emotional numbness, man. Because when you really look at intimacy and sex, that is a connection. That is a spiritual connection. And when you're not able to connect with that person, and it's just another face, another body, like that, that's a problem.
Yeah, because some people numb out on sex like that. Some people don't even look at sex as God created it. Some
Yeah,
people don't even think God created it, and and it's weird because it's easy to be in a church and you don't talk about sex, so you just make it like this dirty, nasty thing just to save it for somebody for marriage.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like it's this horrible, terrible thing. Don't do it. Sex is horrible. Just
yeah,
save it for marriage. And you like,
yeah. And
where
then
am I
and
supposed
then
to
for the
put
ones
that?
that struggling, like it was so crazy because at a particular church that I was at, you had the pastor, which was married, beautiful wife, get up there talking about, refrain from sex and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, like you can go home and do that. What about me? I'm here struggling. Like, how dare you say that? Where's the empathy at all? You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. It's
Man, it's
crazy.
more common. It's more common than you think. Believe me, brother.
It's crazy, man. And I think just even outside of sex, man, just the whole like emotional numbness, man. It it can get really bad because what it does is, man, it destroys every single relationship that you have because you're not able to give out any type of empathy. You're not able to give out any type of human connection with the person
Mhm.
because you don't have any emotions. You don't know how to identify them. You don't know how it feels. A lot of that stuff, man. And I think a lot of that does go back and, like you said, stems from our childhood and things that transpired in our childhood that causes us to become emotionally unavailable for people and just numb and not caring about anything. And one other aspect of emotional numbness is depression. Like depression just simply means when you don't care about anything.
Mhm.
And anxiety is when you care too much about things.
Yeah, man. That anxiety is real. Um, Sometimes I think we do, like you said, we need to take some time for ourselves. And I always tell my wife, you can't pour from an empty cup.
You can't.
And they talk about self-preservation, right?
Hmm.
And I know it's easy, or I know it's a struggle for a lot of moms, especially when you got kids and young kids and stuff like that. But if you're not being the best you available, you can't give that to anybody else because you don't have it. You can't give somebody something that you don't have.
Correct. Correct.
So because we look at it as selfish, like we look at our babies like they're little babies. So when you say I'm taking some time to myself, it's not that saying we're neglecting our kids. It's just saying that I'm just taking some time to prioritize me so I can be good for the kids. And even like you talked about time for us as men, I think we need to start taking that more into consideration too, because unfortunately we already looked at as selfish, you know, but I think if we do take that time for ourselves to re-energize, we can give back more to our wives and our kids because we done got our little fix or whatever, for whatever it is. And having that time management, because you want to go play golf, go do something, and be gone for 7 hours. And they like, I understand self-care, but
Yeah,
you was gone for 7 hours.
a little bit too much self-care.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it totally, man. Totally, totally.
There were when I was reading this article on New York Times, I wanted to talk about this too. It said that men are twice as likely as women to be alcoholics and 3 times more likely to be drug addicts.
Wow.
Yeah, they have been an eightfold greater chance than women do of ending up in prison. Boys are much more likely than girls to be thrown out of school for conduct or antisocial personality disorder, or to drop out on their own initiative. Um, Men gamble themselves into a devastating economic and emotional pit 2 to 3 times more often than women do. So
Some good stats, man.
yeah,
Good
so here's those things where again, um, I don't see nothing wrong with you having a drink. I don't see nothing wrong with you, in moderation, right?
Correct.
Um, and everything. I think you have moderation. It's just like you understand your boundaries, and then you okay. I'm done. I'm good. Let me take my cell phone home. Let me tend to my family. But I think when we don't, I think when we overindulge because we haven't dealt with the previous pain is when we start to overindulge.
Yeah, yeah. I think you can identify with the avoiding responsibility part in that also too, because you're not you're not being responsible for taking care of what's really going on, getting to the root of the issue, the drinking, the impulsive gambling. That's just pretty much the fruit of the root cause of what's going on. And like my therapist, told us in our couples therapy, there are some things that has to get down. That you have to get down to the root. Everything that you're doing right now is just an exterior, part of it, but you need to get down to that root and figure out what's really going on and what's triggering this behavior. And so I said that in a nutshell. Just find that place of responsibility, man, and be open with yourself and know, like, look, man, I got a problem, and this needs to be rectified before I check myself before I wreck myself.
Yeah.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that goes back to that vulnerability piece, right? That admitting that I need some help in a certain area.
Right,
You know,
right.
at least feeling safe enough to say that I need help in a certain area.
And I mean, dealing with addictions, I can understand, from another on the other side, of the spectrum, uh, person's perspective on that, because when I'm drinking that bottle, I wasn't an alcoholic. Now I had different addictions, but I wasn't an alcoholic. It's all the same concept. So
Mhm.
I can understand the alcoholic, going to their bottle and saying, like, this is the only thing that I can relate to. It don't talk back to me. It don't nag me. It doesn't expect anything from me. I can be myself to this person. It's just me in that bottle, and on the flip side of it, it's giving me something that I need. It's supplying something that it's giving me a sensation. It's giving me a temporary fix that I need, and I know I can always go back to that and get that thing, and it's not going to require anything out of me. So that's why I'm going to that. So I can definitely understand what would be the cause of something from that nature going like that.
Mhm. Yeah, man, because I like you said the whole concept of those quote unquote needs, that addiction, whether if it's like you said, alcohol or whatever, it can be women, it can be alcohol, it can be porn, it can be shoot,
Absolutely.
it can be work, right? It
Yeah.
just depends, on what you're running from. Because I remember yesterday I was having just a bad day, just having a bad day. A million and one things running through my mind. I'm thinking all the stuff I got to do. I'm just like, just having a terrible day. And I was thinking, I said, man, I told my wife this morning, I said, man, I said, let me apologize for being a butthole yesterday. I was like, cause, and she knew it too. She was like, you here, but you're not here.
Right.
And I had a million and one things. And here it is in my head, thinking of all the ways that I can, that I'm supposed to conquer the world, because there's so much stuff that I want to do and all these other things, these personal goals and achievements, you know. And I'm just like, if I do this, just being in my head, but not being present,
Yeah.
you know. So, but again, you got to have that emotional awareness to be like, you know what, I was off yesterday, to at least recognize that and then be honest with yourself about it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's where our spouse and stuff can give us grace when we recognize um, having those off days or areas that we're struggling with, because sometimes we don't acknowledge those things.
We
We
don't.
don't, and we just destroy everybody who we come in contact with.
Man, you gonna get it. You gonna get the biz. You gonna get it.
Yeah, right. 10, 15 years down the road, you wonder why she ready to leave you, or you know, why the kids don't want to deal with you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And it's and that's another concept of self sabotage too.
Mm-hmm.
That's also an aspect of self-destructive behavior. When you self-sabotage things and you do that to relationships, man, you it's called push pull
Mm-hmm.
mechanism, where you push the person away, but in actuality, you really don't want them away. So you try to pull them back, you push them again, pull them back, just a whole bunch of mess,
Yeah.
And so that's really self-destructive, because one concept of that is, it may not end up in death. It
Mm-hmm.
may end up in you in that nursing home by yourself. Don't nobody come and see you. Whoever the beneficiary is, or whoever the person that is responsible of what is it called? What's it called when somebody is responsible for like your estate and all that stuff,
Oh
and you're
yeah,
still
yeah.
alive?
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Well,
But
yeah, whatever that is, they collecting your check, and you're in a nursing home, and they ain't coming seeing about you and none of that stuff. So, like that's people's nightmare. And you don't want to end up like that, man. Like you don't want to do that.
yeah, and that starts with today. That starts with being intentional today, because whatever happened in your past, you can't change that, right? But all you
Mm-hmm.
can do is just press forward and being intentional every day. Because I always tell my wife, and you know, sometimes I joke about it, but sometimes I don't. But I'm just like, look, when it's time for me to check out, when it's all said and done, I don't want nobody lying at my funeral. Like,
Fact.
be honest. Don't be lying in the church.
Right. Don't lie.
Yeah.
You got to lie, Craig. Don't
Yeah.
lie. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, you know, so I live my life as, and I think I might have said this before, I live my life as if, what if my funeral was today, kind of thing? Like, will my family really take pride in missing me and being honest about the kind of person I was, that I can leave them great memories, opposed to uh leaving a whole bunch of hurt and heartache. You know what I'm saying? I'm checked out. I'm gone already, but I done left scars on them that's going to damage them for the next 25 years.
Come on. What's that movie called with Whoopi Goldberg and LL Cool J and all of them? I think it's called Kingdom Come. Came out
Mm-hmm.
about 20 years ago almost. And I believe they asked Whoopi Goldberg, what do you want to put, what remarks would you like to put about the person? And she said, I have two words, mean and surly. And it's just like, okay, well, dang, is that the legacy that you want to leave for somebody? Like, like you say, my brother, you want to be empty, but be empty from giving out like good positive things. And I always talk about, I know I've shared this before, but you know how the Bible says that a good man, leaves a legacy and all that stuff for his children's children. And it's not always tangible, man. It's mindsets. That's pretty much what a generational curse is. It's a mindset that was passed on from generation to generation to generation. So
Mm.
how about we set positive, good, ways of thinking, good, habits and think concepts of thinking on to, of course, our children's children,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, it's the kind of memories you create. Um, because, and granted, we have all played the villain in somebody's story. you
Right,
know,
right. Come on.
regardless of how perfect we think we are, somebody can tell a story about us. You'd be like, "Who, Jason? No
Yeah,
way."
oh, yeah, yeah. I know I done turned over some wine tables and threw some computers and yeah, busted some holes in some walls. Yeah, hey, I've done it. So
Yeah, we all guilty, but this day forward. So if you are listening to this or you are watching this, think of this day forward. Just wake up every morning and ask yourself, just tell yourself this day forward. And we all mess up, we all make mistakes, but just start being intentional, because I think a lot of times we just let life just run us, and we don't take time to be intentional to say I'm sorry, right? Or to take some time out of our day and to give some of our time to someone else, devote our time, for whatever that look like. I think we have to just be intentional. And once we can start doing that, I believe that life gets a little easier for us. And people don't mind doing stuff for you. It's a beautiful thing, man, when you have people who are willing to look out for you because they just know overall that you're a good person, that you do whatever you can to help people. So um sowing those seeds, man, it's a beautiful thing when
yeah,
you kind of
yeah,
caught in a bind and somebody can show you some love.
yes. I wanted to say something too, man. You even in one of the, I guess, 5 components that it shows to stop self-destructive behaviors is one is break the cycle of shame. Oftentimes we beat up ourselves, because of a mistake that we made. It was a movie called Meet the Robinsons. I'm a movie person, man. And they would always have this slogan. They would say, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. And that's what we have to do. Make a mistake, move forward, own up to it, show accountability and move forward. And the other one is don't believe the negative talk. Man, uh that could speak on itself. I don't even have to just elaborate on it. Don't believe the negative talk. There's gonna be always your enemy is your biggest enemy, your enemy rather.
Mhm.
And like, you're gonna always have that voice that's gonna speak to you negative things, man. So, what did they say? It takes 30 days to break a habit.
Mhm.
Just try to change the trajectory of your thoughts to your head, in those 30 days. Start speaking positive things. A good book says speak on those things which are pure, which are thoughtful, which are of good rapport. So, try to speak on those good things. Also, it says 3, get a support system. Get support. This is my brother. Like, he holds me accountable. He like I'm just now starting the whole podcast thing. He gives me great advice, gives me great tips, give me great pointers. He the one told me go get you a light, go get you a light, bro, go get you a microphone. So he's always, in my place of support, man. I feel like I can talk to him about anything, man. And that's how I know it's definitely a God connection, man. You want to find people, man, that are covenant brothers, man, that covenant sisters that is going to pray for you, that's going to, just be there for you, whatever aspect. And again, use failure to learn. Failure is nothing but feedback. Failure is nothing but feedback. That's all it is. Thomas Edison said, I had made the condensive light bulb 1,000 times and it failed. I'm paraphrasing. I don't really know the actual number, but he said he did it a lot.
Mhm.
And he said, somebody asked him, was he depressed about that? And he said to the person, he said, no, that's just 200 or some thousand times that I know not how to do it. So use failure as feedback. And then the last one, this definitely speaks to me. It says prepare ahead of time. So, if you want to, if you don't, you procrastinate, prepare ahead of time. What is that saying, Sean? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Mhm. Yeah.
Prepare ahead of time. But
Mhm. I
yeah,
like that, man. I like that. That's what a great way to sum that up, man, because I think we do need those basic tools, because especially for men, like we need tangible things. We need things that somebody gonna actually tell us, something that can help hold us accountable, like we
Correct.
talked about before. So yeah, those are some great things, man. I would like to say too that um forgive yourself too.
Man, come on.
Forgive yourself. I think that's a big, I think men, I think we struggle with that a lot. Just forgiveness of whatever might have happened in the past. And you can start over today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's never too late because your testimony, you never know who you can help, man, through your testimony.
yes.
So forgive yourself, man. I think that's very important.
Forgive
Uh
yourself. Absolutely.
Man, any closing thoughts, anything else that you want to give the brothers or even the sisters, because the sisters be watching too, because they
Oh, I mean, it's kind of that's kind of how shall I say unisex. I mean,
yeah.
that's kind of the same. It's the same concept and the applications that you need to do, man. Forgive yourself. There's a lot of sisters out there that's made some mistakes, man. Got into some soul ties and some bad relationships, bad experiences, man, and they blame themselves, but don't blame yourself, man. That was a learning, lesson that you had to learn. The concept is, did you learn from it, and can you move on from it, and don't allow you to self-sabotage, relationships. You might find a good guy. A lot of times you have that frog before you have that prince, I'm sorry. And so you may have had a frog experience right now, and that prince may be right after that. So depending on what you learn and how you responded to that frog situation will determine on how things go with that prince. You could
Mhm.
very well miss them because you're so stuck on what happened in the past, so stuck on that experience. Just move on, and learn from what you move on. Take that failure and make it feedback.
Love that. Another dope segment of 40s Unfiltered. Jason, let everyone know how they can get in touch with you on social media.
You can reach me by my name, yours truly, Jason Lockhart, on Facebook, and through Instagram is Jackson Heights Own, Jackson Heights _own.
Okay, Jackson Heights _ on. Yeah, and you can also you can catch me on Twitter most of the time. So catch me on Twitter at scary to remarry. That's all it is. You just type in scary to remarry. I will pop up. You find me on Twitter. On all social media platforms. Just type in it's scary to remarry. You'll find me there. This is Sean Hyneman here with another segment of 40s Unfiltered with
Jason Lockhart. Oh, I'm representing my HBCU, Jarvis Christian College. Had to put that in there.
Hey, represent.
Yeah, represent.
That's what's up. All right, people. We will talk to you next week. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you share this video with a friend as well, because someone might be dealing with that, with this certain area in their life. So make sure you share this with a friend, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button so when we record, you can catch these sessions as they go, and you can learn some stuff for yourself in your own personal life. All right,
Sir.
people. Thanks once again for joining us. Take care.
Peace.